Scream 3, a little overhated if you ask me. Scream 3 has always had a soft spot in my heart, and today we're going to take a look at the 4K release for Scream 3, and we'll do a side-by-side comparison with the VHS, the DVD, the Blu-ray, and the 4K. So I've had this Scream set for about a year that came with Scream 1, 2, and 3 on 4K, as well as the Blu-ray set. From what I can tell comparing the two, they have basically the same special features. This is the Scream 3 Blu-ray I'm looking at. It is in this set. It is just a pretty standard Blu-ray there. The funny thing about this 4K set is the Scream 2 4K also comes with a Scream 2 Blu-ray. So it comes with 2 copies of Scream 2 on Blu-ray and 1 on 4K. The DVD copy we're looking at comes from this 2018 Lionsgate release. For a while, this was the only way I owned the Scream movies. I am super happy to have upgraded them. And lastly, the beautiful VHS. And if you're interested in more about the VHS, I did an entire VHS review of this, as well as Scream 1 and 2. You can check those out as well. So let's get into this comparison. Alright, so here we are. This is the comparison I've put together. As always, a little quick disclaimer here. You're looking at compressed captures of these. The 4K is not going to look as good as it would on your TV. We don't even have the same TVs. We probably don't have the same 4K players. Then, for most of these shots, it's shrunk down 50% so it fits on the screen with the other 3. And then it's uploaded again to YouTube and compressed further, so take that into account when you're watching this. But on the top left, we do have the full-screen VHS release. On the top right, the DVD. The bottom left, the Blu-ray. The bottom right, the 4K. Immediate color differences are noticeable, nothing too crazy. Something you will notice throughout this is the Blu-ray and the DVD, color-wise, look pretty much the same. Now, if we look at them a little bit closer, the Blu-ray definitely has that extra clarity that you're looking for. Now, just looking at this shot, the DVD and Blu-ray look pretty natural. They look like reality, you know what I mean? Nothing too crazy going on there. The VHS, a common theme in this is it's going to be really dark. Now, sometimes when I compare the Blu-rays and the 4Ks look significantly darker, especially in these comparisons. Now, if you watch them on your actual TV, it's not something you're going to notice, especially with a horror movie where it actually kind of arguably helps the movie. So what's clear by just looking at this image is obviously the framing is different for the VHS. In some of these darker shots, it's a little bit harder to tell that, but there's also significantly less saturation on that. Now, if I could do a psychic reading of what I think the comments are going to say in this video, I would get an overwhelming amount of people who are going to praise the DVD and the Blu-ray release, and I would not disagree with them. I mean, depending on the kind of vibe you're going for, I could see someone arguing the 4K as well. The clarity is there in the 4K, and sometimes it's very obvious. I think my preferences go back and forth between the Blu-ray and 4K for this film. Here's a frame that makes it very obvious just how much is cut out of that VHS. Yet again, the DVD and Blu-ray, this is a later DVD release. I don't know if the scans are similar to that Blu-ray scan or not, but like they have to be, right? They look so close. It's like when I did a Blu-ray versus DVD comparison for Freddy vs. Jason. Like, there was hardly any difference. And I can see there's definitely more of a nighttime filter on the 4K here. It is significantly more purple. And then you have this shot, where it's not blue at all and everything else looks blue in the other shots. Now that's crazy to me. Skin tone, I think, is often one of the best markers for what's working the best in terms of VHS versus DVD, Blu-ray, 4K. VHS is, you know, it's never really in the run if we're talking image quality. But I like including it in these comparisons because it's important. That's how I watched this movie for the first time. Pretty comparable here, although I will say the sparkle shows up just a little bit better on the Blu-ray and the DVD than the 4K there. This is one of those things. If you watch these movies on VHS, you might not have been able to see the sparkle on Ghostface's cloak, which I think is a fabulous addition to the outfit. In most of these shots, I would say the 4K has a pretty warm color palette, especially in comparison to the Blu-ray and DVD, which, again, just look the same. Other than those nighttime shots earlier, which definitely felt like they had done some more color work on. See, some of these releases you have to really dig to find out what kind of scans and stuff they did. Only on like the big boutique releases and stuff like that do they advertise like we did the 4K scan from the original camera negative and this and that. And so unfortunately I don't have those details for this release, but here is something I wanted to talk about. Because of the way the titles show up, the VHS basically switches from full screen to widescreen back to full screen. So let's take a look here. It comes when this fades to white when he dies. Did you see that? We're going frame by frame now, and it's full screen there. You see that? Now it's widescreen. Full screen, widescreen. You can also see that these are not quite in sync in this moment, but they're close enough, right? So anyway, then it does the Scream 3 logo. Looks pretty good. Significantly more red on the 4K there, though. See, these are very subtle differences. Do they make a big difference to your viewing experience? I don't necessarily think so. But it's also very fascinating to me. And hopefully if you're watching this, you too. So now watch the VHS transition back to full screen. You see that? It literally fades, going frame by frame, into the white. And there we are, back to full screen. It's just something I noticed while I was making this video that I wanted to point out to you guys. Ah yes, ladies and gentlemen, easily in the top 5 worst horror movie haircuts of all time. Right up there with Josh Hartnett from The Faculty, and Josh Hartnett from Halloween H2O. And let's be honest, her banana suit is kind of trash. Although I will say it almost looks a little more highlighter-y, depending on which version you're looking at. Okay, call me crazy. Am I starting to notice that the Blu-ray and DVD look a little bit taller? And by that, I mean stretched. Possibly, just a tiny bit. Or, or, hear me out, the 4K is squashed just a little bit. His face is looking wider on the 4K and taller on the Blu-ray. Am I crazy in thinking that, or let me know in the comments down below. I can't tell. I'll have to look out for any other shots that might be doing that. See, it's not doing it here. At least I don't feel like it is. But while we're here, let's talk about this glorious Jay and Silent Bob cameo. I actually just met Brian O'Halloran, Dante from Clerks over the weekend. Had him sign my Clerks VHS, but that's besides the point. I like to think this means that the Scream universe and the View Askew universe take place in the same universe. Because they go to a movie set in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, so genuinely one of my favorite scenes in this movie, actually. And this is a movie that's very silly, you know what I mean? It's borderline parody of the Scream movies at this point, and it knows that. Half of the things all these actors are complaining about is probably like real shit. Like, you know, that was said on these sets. And again, I will note you can see the color differences here. The 4K is again looking cooler this time, as opposed to the DVD and Blu-ray looking warmer, but are those color differences enough to merit me, like, caring? I don't know. I think this scene looks really great. Honestly, on all those formats. VHS, obviously, not so much, but... Now, see these shots? I'm tending to like the Blu-ray a little bit better just because I do like to see that sparkle. See, I think sometimes when we do these comparisons and you see the Blu-ray next to the 4K, like in a shot like this, you want to say the Blu-ray looks better. Because you have them side by side, and you can say that. But the truth is, when you watch that 4K, you're not going to notice that extra darkness. It's going to be, especially if you're using the right equipment, it's going to look fantastic. Again, skin tone, man. What's the lighting like in that room? What do you think it should be? What is scarier? What fits the vibe of the movie better? These are all things to consider, I guess, but I think in the DVD and Blu-ray she looks like a human, and in the 4K it looks like there's a very particular type of lighting happening in there. Gotta get some shots of that lit pool. That's beautiful, isn't it? Me personally, I do think Scream 3 is a little overhated. In terms of the Scream franchise, underrated. And if this was one of your weaker films in the franchise, I think you're doing a great job. I don't know if some people watch this and realize how self-aware it is and stuff at this point. I think it's... I mean, kids watching this, I feel like, if you're a younger person, let me know, like, do you realize how funny this movie is? Like, all the things it's making fun of? Or do you just think it's, like, silly and taking itself seriously. I mean, I don't know. Either way, if you have a fun time with it, I guess. It is very interesting to me that Roman is going to be coming back in Scream 7 as well as Matthew Lillard. I've done a few videos talking about that, but I had mixed feelings on Scream 5 and 6 at first, and they really grew on me. Next up, I do hope to be doing a 4K review of Scream 4 when that comes out, hopefully this year. There's been no official announcements, but it's coming. Final thoughts, I will say, listen, the VHS is nostalgic. If that's your route, you watch that way, that's great. I've watched this on VHS before and been completely content. I'm not taken out of it or anything. DVD, if you're not a Blu-ray person, maybe you just only get maybe your very favorite films and Scream's not up there for you, you'll be fine. Because color-wise, it looks great. If you have a Blu-ray player, I do recommend at least getting the Blu-ray of this. If I had to rate all of these out of, like, you know, a recommendation out of 10, the VHS would be like 5, the DVD would be like 6, the Blu-ray would be like 10, and the 4K would be like 9. Like, if you have the means to get the 4K, and you have the perfect setup for it, like, you're not going to regret it. But everyone else, you're going to be fine with the DVD or the Blu-ray. Let me know which version you think looks best in the comments down below, and as always, if you like this video, be sure to check out this one and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.